Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. I am Pop Rocks and this is going to be me talking about 6v6 and my opinion on it. With that, like, comment, subscribe, and let's get into it. As of now in 6v6 I've played mostly support and mostly tank. And from what I can gather is on support, it is definitely more difficult to keep everybody up if you don't have a main healer. So you do need a main healer like Ana or somebody. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, of course, but I think its main healer is lots of damage and healing, while like off healer is like util and a bit in like the lower healing ends like Lucio, Mercy, Zen. Correct me if I'm wrong though. And then for tank, for me at least, it feels like you always need a barrier tank just because people behind you won't like be able to like take as many off angles, so they might be playing main more, but also you yourself will need that extra bit of defense since let's say you're going Sigma Risa like in the footage behind you. I needed to be the main tank so that when my shield's down I can face tank a little bit. Risa will pop in with her fortifier javelin spin, and then I can do my grasp, and then we just rotate like that. That was the easiest way I saw to actually do this, though that might just be me. Another thing is that I feel like there is definitely a lot less brawling. There's like a lot more poke, i.e. Sigma Orisa comps, which you can see on the screen now, even without a double shield, is definitely more pokey, more slow, and I don't know if I like that or not. Though I will say it does make getting kills even better than it was in 5v5, because in 5v5 getting a kill is awesome, but getting a kill in 6v6, if it's like you get a kill and then you start winning, boom, look at that, it's a great kill. But like otherwise, overall it definitely needs adjustments. I don't think they should have undone the Roadhog rework, for instance, quote unquote rework. I think it is much better if Roadhog doesn't have to use all of his breather at once. They could have made it to where he uses more breather at a time, so it's like instead of the full thing like it is right now, they could just do half and then another half resource meter like that. Just that way he's not using as much, but that way when you don't use it or if you get antied, it's not like before where you get antied, that's all your value, you're dead, probably. And then I also just don't like that I don't have Pigpen because I got so used to it. And I love having Pigpen because even if I don't use it for my one shot, it's just fun to have because it's some damage off, you know. And I think it would just be more useful than the one pump heal, obviously, or the alternate fires, because honestly I think his primary in 5v5 right now is perfectly fine. And moving back to my barrier tank thing, I think that most characters for Overwatch 2, actually all characters for Overwatch 2 that are tanks, are all much more off tanks, less main tank. Obviously, I don't like fully mean that because I think like Junker Queen, she's a better main tank than Doomfist, for instance. I think Doomfist is much better as that off tank while you got Sigma on the front line or Ryan on the front line, you know? Because I know Sigma used to be an off tank, but honestly, he's working so well for me at least right now that I just don't see why I would play him in the off angle unless we have the point secure, so I can start on the off angle and then move on to main if I need to, you know. But those are my thoughts so far, and the only other thing I would want to say really is that it's just bad feeling mostly because the supports are not used to having to heal two tanks, and then some of them are also brand new to Overwatch 2 but not to Overwatch, right? So they're coming back after like 2, 3, 4 years of not touching the game because 6v6 or roll queue, right? And then they come to play it because 6v6 is back, and you're just sitting there like, bro, what is my Mercy doing? She's damage boosting the half HP Zarya, which is a thing that actually happened. I don't have footage of it, but it happened to me last night while I was playing, and it was kind of funny to look at because she was just staring at the Zarya with damage boost on. And the Zarya, me and the Zarya were just like, I don't know what she's doing, dude. It was funny, but I do think that they need to. They really can't do anything about this. This is more just of a personal gripe. is that sometimes your supports just aren't playing it like they should. Because I think I've adapted already by playing Sigma. He's going to be my most played probably if this mode stays. And I just think that it'll take a hot minute for the Overwatch 2 supports to get back into the rhythm of it, or get into the rhythm of, hey, I can't really go on off angles anymore. Like, you can go on a soft off angle if it's like on push on New Queen Street or something, right? And you know how when you go around the curve and you start going there's that mega to the high ground, and then there's a little off angle where you can almost see their spawn. Like, you could probably go there on a good Kiriko or Ana, and then as soon as you see their team, though, I would suggest pulling back. Because otherwise, there's a Tracer Genji, you're Ana, you're kind of you're not in a great spot there, even with 2 tanks. Because I'm assuming your tanks would either go on the other off angle, or would both be on main, so it might be a second before you get help if you stay there way too long, you know? And then Kiriko's. Oh my gosh, Kiriko's. I cannot tell you how many times I've had them selfishly Suzu, and then as they do that away from me, I'm a critical tank or something, and I'm sitting there like, where's my Kiriko? And then I look, and I'm like, oh, she has no TP somehow. She has no Suzu, and I saw her get attacked by Lucio maybe once. So that's another thing where it's like, since the tanks are weaker, but also there's more of them, so there's more damage output, you cannot afford to do those like selfish nades or selfish Suzus nearly as much. Obviously, selfish nade is a bit different because Suzu is such a it's a longer cooldown, I believe, but it's also just a better cooldown. So it's something where if you mess it up, it screws over your whole team if they need it, you know. Which that isn't just a 6v6 problem. It's also a 5v5 problem I've noticed where Kiriko especially will selfishly Suzu, and then you need it so they'll TP, and when they TP you're dead, and you're just sitting there like, if you had Suzu, I wouldn't have died. But it's whatever. But the 6v6 has definitely made that problem much more apparent for me at least. And I think aside from that, the supports are really fine. You just need to find that balance between the supports. Like, you need a Moira or something who can do some damage, do a lot of healing, or a Brig, which Brig, I think a Moira Brig wouldn't be that bad. It's definitely a more sustainy AoE comp, but it definitely, you can definitely see how the sustain is needed in 6v6. If you have like 2 brawl tanks like a Ryan Zarya or something, you need to be very careful about what supports you play, because if you play 2 single target supports like Lifeweaver Kiriko, it's gonna be rough. Even with that pole and that Suzu, it's gonna be a little rough at times. Aside from that, from the supports and tanks, I think the DPS are relatively fine. I definitely feel that they suffer from the 2 tanks, but that was bound to happen. It's just a little harder to get all that done. So yeah. And look, what, for instance, I played May, right? I played May. I could not get anything done, I swear. I had 23 kills and 5 deaths by the end of the game, but I felt like I did nothing. So I think that definitely is going to be a problem moving forward, is that tanks will blow up much quicker, supports are not used to it, and then DPS will feel like they're doing nothing, even if they're doing perfectly fine. And speaking of the kills, overall, I've noticed that the scoreboards are much lower because of these slower fights. There's less fights because they last so long. So when you finally get a pick, it's like, awesome. We get to move quite a bit, especially if you push forward a little bit. But that's about all my thoughts. I'm trying not to repeat myself because somebody thankfully did point out that I do tend to repeat myself. So with that, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.